Hey guys, welcome back to Stats Chat, and today I'm going to be talking to you about all the features I've been working on over the past couple of weeks and how they're going to help you when you use the site to help with your list building, help with kind of giving you new ideas about commanders and combinations and attachments and all the best NCUs that you might be thinking about using, being able to use all the great data that we've been collecting over the past few months, using information from all the top players without you having to go to them directly and ask. You don't have to ask for people's general opinions on stuff. You can just find all this information for yourself now. And it's really the first step forward for the stats builder, where it's always intending to go to, and just kind of phase one of the new features that are going to come out for it. And always been the intention of A Song of Ice and Fire Stats. So I'm really happy to be able to start bringing all of that useful data that we've collected and basically apply it to being able to be a really powerful tool for our users to use. Everybody from the newest players through to the most experienced tournament players being able to learn new things from the site, because I can tell you that I've learned a ton from looking through these new statistics, and so there's some things that might surprise you. It's all about getting a different perspective, using statistics to move away from the things that are really obvious to us and looking into another step deeper. So let's dive on in and have a look at the new things that you can use. So if you head over to A Song of Ice and Fire Stats and go onto the stats builder, make sure that you're logged in and have a completed profile, and you'll be able to click this magic new button that's called Get List Advice. Once you've picked your faction, up in the top right corner, we're going to click on this, and then we're going to wait a few seconds, because it takes quite a while for us to collect all of this information that we've been building up, and then do a load of quite useful calculations on basically what kind of combinations are most likely to be used and what's going to be the most powerful things for you to pick. Once that's loaded up, it's going to tell us, firstly, it's going to give us a breakdown of the win rates for our given faction in terms of every different activation count that we see it at, and how often that is picked, basically its popularity, and also what its win rate is. So here I am looking at Lannisters. We're looking at 40 points, and we can see that the two activation counts that we basically see are 7 and 8 activations, with 7 being the more popular choice, but 8 having a significantly higher win rate. So that's our first really interesting takeaway from that, and will hopefully kind of help push you in a direction when you're trying to think about a list, and might give you some really good pointers there in general. I mean, on that fact, you will find that almost all factions, as we've shown on the site, almost all factions win more often at their higher activation counts. That's just kind of the state of the game at the moment. So I think that's a general takeaway, which is really come to the fore for me. I thought it was definitely true of a lot of factions, but actually it turns out that it's true of practically every faction right now in the tournament setting. The higher your activation count, the more likely you are to win. So interesting takeaway there. We have ourselves quite a few tabs, and we can look at the combat units. The combat units, at first, they're shown by the popularity of each unit, how likely it is to be picked, and it will give us a number. So here we are looking at Lannisters, and the most popular unit is Knights of Casterly Rock. They are picked 1.085 times. That means that basically one Knights of Casterly Rock is in almost every single list out there. Obviously, some will have 2 or even 3 for those that have 0. But basically, it is the most picked unit inside Lannisters right now. Not surprising at all. Everybody is very aware that Knights of Casterly Rock are a very efficient unit at 8 points. That Cavalry Lance ability is very, very powerful. So, no surprises there. What we do get told, though, is that Knights of Casterly Rock have a 59% win ratio. It's pretty good. Definitely something that we want to be heading for. Better than the average for the Lannisters in general. But we can also click this button up here, which says to sort by win rate instead, where we find out what is the highest win rate unit. And it's a bit of a shocker, which is that Gregor, the Mountain That Rides, is currently by far, when used, the highest win rate piece on Lannister combat units. He has an astounding win rate of 81%. But outside of maybe the slightly more controversial kind of Kickstarter exclusives, big discussion there about whether or not his power level is kind of right. We can see that Poor Fellows, picked very regularly, have also a great win ratio, and possibly surprising some people, Housebolton Cutthroats also bring a very high win ratio and yet have a very low popularity. It's interesting insights like that can really help us think about new army lists, consider new things. Also, we see the Kingsguard very, very highly rated. Joffrey has a pretty high win ratio in himself. Interesting to note that kind of feeds back into that idea that the higher the activation count, generally the higher our win rates are going to be. So unsurprising that basically all of our cheapest options are our highest win rates. We can also look at our attachments, and we can see what the pick rates and win rates for all of those are. And finally, into our NCUs, where no surprises currently for the Lannisters. Walder Frey is significantly the highest win rate, but we also see Tywin up there with an equally high win rate. Surprising when you contrast that with the fact that Pycelle is actually significantly the most picked NCU. It's these kind of comparing what the expectation of what people think a unit's worth. That's what I would consider its popularity to be. Pycelle is currently picked basically 66% of the time. 2/3 of all Lannister lists that we've recorded use Pycelle, but he only wins half the time. Tywin Lannister, probably about half as popular, but with a significantly higher win ratio. So it's these kind of we're like testing whether or not people's assumptions about pieces are actually coming true in reality. So that's what happens when we click that little button that says get list advice. It's going to check what faction we have at the moment, go and collect all its information from the databases that we have, and then it's going to calculate these win rates. That's brilliant for when you're just thinking about a faction in general, thinking about some principles, wanting to look at some units. But we don't stop there. If we now head back and we decide that we're going to play with a particular commander, to say, oh, Knights of Casterly Rock are brilliant all the time, is just to kind of gloss over the complexity of the game, which is, of course, the kind of thing that we try and get away from on A Song of Ice and Fire stats. So why don't we add ourselves a commander of our choice? Let's have a look at when we're playing Gregor the Mountain. And as soon as we add Gregor, it's going to do some recalculations based on only the games in which Gregor was played. If we now go back to our list advice, it will tell us that the most popular unit with Gregor, unsurprisingly, is Mountain's Men, significantly more popular than the Knights of Casterly Rock. They are up there with high popularity. We also see Lannister Halberdiers, a well-known favourite unit to put the Mountain himself as a commander in. So there are no surprises here. We see that the Mountain's Men have a popularity of 2.6 units per Mountain list. So absolutely the go-to staple. And we've recalculated all of our win rates. What's quite interesting here is that the Mountain's Men, while being by far the most popular unit to be picked inside of a Gregor Mountains army, they are not actually the highest win rate by far. The Halberdiers and the Knights of Casterly Rock are both significantly higher rated, and we get to see the value of certain attachments, the value of certain NCUs in combination with any given commander that we want. So these are the kind of things that you can go and have a look at. If you can come with any given faction that you want to look at, you can find all of its information. If you know that you want to build with a certain commander, then select your commander, and all that information will be filtered out for you, and it'll tell you specifically with this commander. So this is, of course, a live kind of set of statistics. And as of yet, it's basically been backdated. A lot of work by myself and Mickey to go through old tournaments and update it to the way that A Song of Ice and Fire stats now measures and records our lists. So old tournaments, some of have been updated to have those lists attached to them, but you can help us out and help yourself out as well for coming features that are going to arrive soon. Under your profile, when you've saved a list, you can pick any one of your games in your game history, which doesn't already have a list attached to it, and you will be given a drop-down list option to attach an army list which matches that commander to that game. And once you've done that, that will then be added to the list of results that are drawn from when it works out the calculations for how good these units are, how popular they are. Like I say, at the moment, me and Mickey have gone back through a couple of the old tournaments, because we have those lists available and we've updated them just as a way to get us going, get us some baseline statistics that people can work with, and also for us to be able to check the features out. If you want to go through and backdate your own history, that would be absolutely brilliant. But basically this database is now going to populate itself over the coming time, because every tournament where you update your lists, upload your lists before the event, and every game that you record will automatically save those lists and kind of present that data in the future. So it's going to get better, it's going to get stronger. There are quite a few unpopular commanders who don't have a lot of data yet, so you know, we have to work around what we have. But if you want to help, then definitely go along, go to your old history, and if you have lists which you know that you used in them, then build those lists through the stats builder, save the list, and then you will be able to add it to that game. Make sure that you're running all your tournaments through the site, and if you can, make sure that everybody's uploading their lists before the tournament begins, and then that will just all automatically be tracked throughout the system. It will add to our growing set of data. We have about 2,500 results on the site at the moment, but we've only backdated maybe about 500 of them, so we're currently pulling from a relatively small pool of data by comparison to how much we have. If in future that's just going to grow really fast though, lots of new tournaments, lots of games going on, lots of submissions. So just make sure you're submitting, make sure you go over to the stats builder and check it out, see what you can learn. If you find any interesting insights, any units that you really think you're surprised at how high or low its win rate is, then you know, let us know in the comments. Let us know what kind of lists might have changed your mind. I think even people might be surprised to see that actually there are some things which kind of subvert people's general opinions of game pieces. Jorah Mormont, the Wandering Knight, is currently rated as the highest win rate Targaryen unit available. Why? Because an activation for 3 points is more important than any other abilities he brings. And that's just the state of the meta at the moment. It's those kind of insights pushing back against people's kind of gut reactions, which is that Jorah is crap, are the kind of things that we want to bring just like a real analytical approach to, rather than hearsay and just like popular opinion. So let us know what you think. Submit all your results, and head over to our group and add yourself onto that. If you're part of that group and you've been one of those people who's been asking for some updates to the way that we kind of show the growing list of tournaments that is now getting a bit hard to use, then definitely that I've been working on the builder, but that's going to get updated really soon. That's the next thing on the list. So don't worry, I am listening to the requests that we get sent. So yeah, keep letting us know what kind of things you want us to work on in terms of the videos, in terms of the site in general, and see you soon.